So welcome back. Here we have the data transformation with the maps, filter, and then reduce. So these are the three big important array methods that we use all the time to perform data transformations. So basically, these are the methods that we use to create a new array based on transforming the data from other arrays. So in recent years, these tools have become really popular and for good reasons. Therefore, you'll see them everywhere you look in the modern JavaScript. So, and the tools I'm going to talk about here are the maps, filters, and reduce. So these are the three array methods. In this lecture, I'm going to give you a quick overview of them. So then the next couple of lectures, we are going to dive deep into these three methods. So in practice that we are going to use them throughout the rest of this course. First, the map method is yet another method that we can use to loop over arrays. So the map is actually similar to the for each method that we just studied before, but with the difference that map creates the brand new array based on the original array. So essentially, the map method takes an array and loops over the array, and in each iteration it applies covec function that we just specify on our code to the current array element. So in this example we say that, and the map methods multiplies every single element by 2 and puts into a new array. So we say that it maps the values of the original array to a new array. That's why this method is called maps, and it is extremely useful, usually way more useful than in for each method, because for each simply allows us to do some work with each array element, but maps on the other hand builds us the brand new array containing the result of and applying an operation to the original array. All right, we'll use the map method in practice right in the next video anyway. Next up, we have the filter method, which as the name says, it is used to filter for elements in the original array, which satisfies a certain condition. So in this example, we are only looking for the elements greater than 2. So all the elements that pass us the test we specify will make it to a new filtered array. So in other words, the elements for which the condition is true will be included in a new array that the filter method returns. So other elements will get filtered out, so they will not be included in the new array. And finally, there is the reduce method, which will use the boil down all the elements of the original array into a single value. And as an example of this, it can be added to all the elements of an array together, but we can do many other interesting things. For example, adding up all the numbers in the array, we need to specify an operation like this one, where we have an accumulator variable. Then as the reduce method loops over the array, it keeps adding the current element on the accumulator until the end of the loop we have to the total sum of the elements. So you can imagine this is a snowball, it keeps getting bigger and bigger. So as it rolls down the hill, so this is known as the snowball effect, and reduce is pretty similar to that. Okay, so that keep in mind as a nice analogy. So now we also say that this whole process has now reduced the original array to a single value, which in this case is the sum of elements, but it can of course be many other operations. Now it's the value that we actually get returned from the reduce method in the end, and there is no new array in this case but only the reduced value. That is probably sounds more complicated than it is. So let's just start put to into practice right in the next video. That's it for this video.